Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Since it's the start of 2021, it's time for an updated video of which zero commission brokerage you should use. The last version that I posted of this video was in 2019, so there have been quite a few changes in the financial and investing space since then. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. And today we're going to look at the pros and cons of these brokerages. We'll see how they're similar and some major differences between them. And then we'll also look at how usable they are. And then I'll also talk a little bit about customer service because I know that that is important to some people. I will link to all of these brokerages in the description and in the pinned comment. And for transparency, I will put a note if it is a referral link or an affiliate link. And if it doesn't have a note next to it, then it's not. Like the last video, we'll start with the smaller brokerages and then we will move on to the big ones. Let's start off with Robinhood, which you've probably heard of because they've been all over the news in the past year. They've been all over Reddit and you see the name pop up in titles of YouTube videos and news articles everywhere. So Robinhood is super easy for beginners to get started with. I'd say it's the easiest platform to get started with if you are looking at just learning how to invest, learning how to use different order types, and really just getting a feel for how the stock market works. Out of all of the brokerages that I'm going to mention, Robinhood by far, by a landslide, is the most usable as far as the app goes. They've really made an effort to make it easy to use, and they've kind of gamified investing where to place an order, they have a super simple order page and then you swipe, and your order is placed. So that's all fine and dandy, but over the course of the past year, Robinhood has had a couple of problems. So in 2020, there were a couple of times where Robinhood just had a complete outage. Hopefully going forward, that doesn't happen and that was just a one-time event. Another complaint that you'll often see in Reddit threads or in Facebook groups about Robinhood is the amount of time that it takes for your money to get in and out of the account and for cash to settle. Some people have problems with that being delayed longer than they would like. For me personally, that hasn't been an issue that I've encountered. But if you are trying to move around large amounts of cash or you're trying to do a high volume of trades and you need money in and out super fast, then that is something to look into if those delays would impact you. In that case, it may be better to go with a different brokerage, but again, that's something that you can always research. But again, if you are just getting started and you're just trying to learn how to invest, or you just want a really easy platform to use and you're not going to be doing anything super crazy, then Robinhood is a great platform to get started with. With Robinhood, you can also get free stocks whenever you refer friends to the platform. So that can be a fun way to get your friends involved with you and to earn some extra stocks. Next on the list, we have M1 Finance. I would say that M1 Finance is the easiest to start out with if you're a beginner and you're not quite ready or comfortable to use order types, or if you are looking for a way to easily set up automatic investments. M1 Finance is definitely the way to go, and it's also great for dividend investors. M1 Finance is different than a traditional brokerage in the way that the platform is actually set up. So instead of buying in shares and buying with like a market order or a limit order or a stop order, you're actually just buying in percentages. So what you do is you build these pie charts. So when you're setting up the pies, you have the option to be like, hey, I want 25% of this portfolio to be in Tesla, and I want the other 75% to be in VU. Then every time that you put money into your account, you can set it up to automatically invest. And every time whatever amount you put in will be divided into that Tesla and those VU shares. And it will try to divide it evenly so that your portfolio is always pretty close to that 75%, 25% divide. And you can set these up however you want, and you can even make little subsections so you can make a pie within a pie. Again, this is great if you want to have the option to have those automatic investments. And also their app is pretty easy to use. It's slightly more complicated than Robinhood, but it is still really straightforward. Once you kind of move around in it, it's super easy to use. If, however, you are looking to place traditional orders using a market order, a limit order, and you really care about that price, then M1 Finance is not for you. They only have one trading window per day, which means that every morning at 9 or 10 a.m., they go in, and if you've put money into your account and you've opted to invest that next day, then they'll go ahead and they'll buy those shares for you. So if you're looking to do intraday trading or you're looking to get a very specific price on a stock or ETF, you will want to go with a different brokerage. I would almost compare it to one of those 401k programs that some employers give you, where you go in and you make your selections of what you actually want to invest in, and then you can kind of set it up to do it automatically, but you're not in there micromanaging the price points that you're getting things at. The next smaller / newer brokerage that we'll look at is Webull. So even though people like Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin are always promoting Webull, I don't necessarily think that it's the best platform for beginners. It's very much set up as a day trading platform. The way that their charts are laid out and set up is really intended more for day trading. You can definitely look at it if you are just a regular investor, but if all you're doing is regular investing and you're not day trading, I personally don't think that it's the easiest platform to start out with. One pro of Webull is that they do usually have a pretty good sign-up offer. So whether that's getting like 3 or 4 free stocks, whatever they have going at the time, they do usually have something like that going on. But again, if you're looking for a super easy platform to get started with, I think that there are easier platforms than Webull to use. I also don't necessarily agree with how they handle transparency in their company. So it is Chinese owned, and that's perfectly fine. They do have offices and a presence in the US, in New York, I believe. And for some people, that is an important piece of information that may determine whether or not they want to use them. So I think that lack of transparency there is why I'm a little bit hesitant to use them. So with any of those smaller brokerages, the customer service, like I said in the last video, is not going to be quite up to par with those larger companies. So with these 3 smaller brokerages, you're pretty much going to have email support, and that's going to be the primary way that you get help. So if you are someone who's expecting 24-hour live support, or you're someone that is particularly problematic with technology and setting up accounts, then probably these 3 brokerages aren't for you. You may want to go with one of the larger brokerages that actually has a live person on phone support that can help you out. So moving on to the bigger brokerages, the next one on the list that we actually didn't have last time is Vanguard. So the primary reason that you're probably looking at Vanguard is because of some of their mutual funds or their index funds or ETFs. They have really low expense fees on all of those, and their mutual funds and index funds are known for being really good, and you do have to have a Vanguard account to get into those. Now, if you are looking to get into one of their ETFs instead, you don't actually have to have a Vanguard account to buy those. So for example, if you were trying to buy VU, you could make a Vanguard account and buy VU through there, but you can also buy VU on M1 Finance, on Fidelity, on TD Ameritrade, and you don't actually have to have a Vanguard account. Now, love Vanguard. They're known for being a great company, but Vanguard, you gotta update your website. It's horrible. It gives off really strong, like early 2000s vibes where you have to go through 10 menus to get to 5 other menus to finally get to the page that you're looking for. Luckily, they do have a search bar, so if you figure out how to use that, you should be good to go as long as you know what pages you're looking for. But purely from the user standpoint, the Vanguard website and the Vanguard app are not the easiest to use by any means. Now, they do make it decently easy to set up automatic investments, so if you are using one of their mutual funds or index funds and you're primarily just doing automatic investments, you may not actually have to use their site or their app very often, so that could work perfectly fine. But if you are someone who is actively buying and selling super often, then you may want to look at going with a different brokerage that has a bit of a cleaner app and a cleaner website. Next, we'll talk about TD Ameritrade, which I am a little bit biased towards because I've been using them for quite a while. I think they have a really good platform, and they also have a good day trading platform called Thinkorswim. I personally do not day trade, but that is what is on the screens behind me. And even having access to that, if you are a regular investor, but you really like having all of those charts and ways to track your investments, it's really cool to have access to that. And even if you're not using Thinkorswim, the regular part of their website that's just like their normal brokerage is really easy to use. It's really easy to buy or sell. There's super clear navigation, and they have a lot of tutorials for beginners to get started. One additional benefit of TD Ameritrade is that they do have a ton of resources, not only on their own website, which they do have a huge library of tutorials and little mini courses, but also on the outside. There are a ton of YouTubers and articles that focus on TD Ameritrade just because there are so many people using it. So there are a lot of resources to actually help you through your learning process if you are a beginner. Now, the cons, I would say that their mobile app is not the easiest thing to use, and this is a common theme that we're going to touch on all of these larger brokerages. All of them could definitely improve their app. It's usable, you can navigate it, and you can figure it out, but even now, sometimes when I'm using the app, I find myself like, wait, which page am I on? How do I go back? So it's not as clear as it could be, but it is usable. Now, the Thinkorswim app, I would say, is much better. But again, if you aren't actually actively day trading and you're just kind of trying to check up on your normal investing portfolio, then you wouldn't be using the Thinkorswim app. You would be using their regular app. And I think that there are some improvements that they could make. As far as their customer service, I've had really good experiences, both over the phone and their live chat support. Solid, love not having to talk to people, and they reply to you super quickly, and they're really straightforward with their answers, so that is always really nice to have. Next, we have Fidelity. So I would say that Fidelity is almost like a mix between Vanguard and TD Ameritrade. So as far as actually like using their site, how you buy and sell a stock, even just the layout of their site, very, very similar to TD Ameritrade. They do have their own version of a day trading / charting platform as well that's kind of like Thinkorswim. But as far as what they actually offer, I'd say that they're a little bit more similar to Vanguard because they are known for having good index funds and ETFs. On some things, they'll also have like 0% expense ratios or different offers to try to get you into their version of the fund versus going with someone like Vanguard. So do look out for those offers. I'm not going to list any specifically or put in any screenshots just because those do change from time to time. So that's something to look into. And also, Fidelity has been one of the brokerages over the years to consistently have some of the lowest fees. If you go and look at their fees page, they'll give you a chart comparing it to other brokerages, and they'll show you what you don't have to pay fees on for them that you would with other brokerages. So depending on what you're actually investing in, that could have an influence on which account you open. Another benefit with Fidelity is that you can do fractional shares, which is something that TD Ameritrade currently does not offer. But for now, Fidelity is a really solid company that does offer fractional shares. And when you're actually buying those shares, they do make it super clear on how to do that. As far as their app and website, again, I think that their website is, I don't want to say identical, but it's very similar to the TD Ameritrade site. As far as their app, I think that their app is slightly better than the TD Ameritrade app. But again, I don't think that any of them really compare to the ease of using Robinhood. But as far as the bigger brokerages go, I'd say that they probably have one of the best apps. Next, we have ETrade, again, very similar to TD Ameritrade and Fidelity. They also have their own day trading / charting platform, and they have pretty low fees across the board. Their website, again, I would say is very similar to TD Ameritrade or Fidelity, and their app, I would say, is a little bit harder to navigate than Fidelity, but maybe a little bit easier than TD Ameritrade. It's really, really close. There's almost no difference. A general word of advice for these would be to go on YouTube and to look up people actually using the apps and the websites before you sign up so that you can see for yourself if there are any major differences that stick out to you that would influence which one you choose. Customer service on this one, also good like the other big brokerages. It's really hard to compare because they are so similar. And last we have Charles Schwab. So something to note about Charles Schwab is that they are actually in the process of acquiring TD Ameritrade. So eventually TD Ameritrade will merge into Charles Schwab. When will that happen? Not totally sure. I think there was an article that said that it could still be like 36 months from now. So for now, we are continuing to review these separately because you can still sign up on either one. But do be aware that at some point the accounts will essentially be the same. The buying and selling process, again, is pretty similar. I would say that the downfall that they have right now is that they don't have any of those really advanced charting programs, but with TD Ameritrade, I'm sure they will also get Thinkorswim. With Charles Schwab, I would say that one of the downfalls is that they are kind of like almost a standard banking website, but like with stocks thrown in. So it's not quite as advanced as what you would find on TD Ameritrade. One of the pros of Charles Schwab over TD Ameritrade is that currently they do have fractional shares, which TD Ameritrade doesn't have. My hope is that they take the both of these brokerages and merge them together, but we'll see what they actually end up with because there's no guarantee. One of the other pros is that their app is actually pretty surprisingly easy to use. Again, it's super similar to the Chase banking app, and I figure that's just because they also have banking and all of those companies kind of make competitive apps with each other, but you'll probably already be pretty comfortable with the interface and layout of it. It's just changed a little bit because it is stocks and not actually purely banking. Now, on the topic of banking, I did mention this the last time I made this video, but if you are, for whatever reason, trying to keep all of your financial activities under one company, then Charles Schwab may be a good option because they do offer some different bank account options. Some people's 401ks are with Charles Schwab, like their company recommends or sets it up for them through Charles Schwab. So if you already have stuff going on in the Charles Schwab world and you want to keep it there, then going with Charles Schwab for your investing platform may be a good idea. So as far as major overarching differences and similarities, I would say that the smaller, newer brokerages have way better apps. They're way more usable, but the larger companies usually have better offers. Their index funds and mutual funds are better, and you have that better customer support because they are such large companies. If there is a brokerage that I didn't mention and you want to see a video on it, do leave that in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.